Canada of the 1950s, career choices for women were limited. So when a rather shy and understated Marjorie Blankstein decided to become a nurse, it seemed logical. But an entrance board for whom judgment came easy, and please remember this, concluded she couldn't do the math. Accepting conventional wisdom was also something Marjorie couldn't do. With a master's degree in social work, she started off pouring tea for seniors in the North End. While others may have seen it as beneath their station, Marjorie didn't.
My mother always said that it's important to help. And she quoted her father, who I never met. He died before they were married, my mom and dad. If someone comes to you in need, reach out to them with an open hand. And I guess that kind of got into my bloodstream.
It wasn't long before Jewish Child and Family Services recognized Marjorie's energy and dedication and snagged her for their board. The self-described professional volunteer quickly learned that you can't do much without money. She also learned how to ask for it.
What's the most important thing is the sparkle in your eyes and the fire in your heart. So you have to care about what you're doing, and that message gets across and people feel it. So I think that it's very important, and I have that feeling here in Winnipeg, that people care about each other and try to help and work together for the betterment of the community.
So the girl who couldn't do math became the model fundraiser for dozens of community projects in Manitoba. And she's put up some pretty impressive numbers. How much was it now?
I guess maybe about $25 million.
But Marjorie Blankstein isn't about numbers. Never has been. She's about people and the delicate hand of fate.
I had been brought up to understand that there was a responsibility that an individual had to the community, to give back to the community. My mother was born in Canada. Her parents came over from Russia in the late 1890s. My father came in the early 1900s. And I thank them almost every week for making the trip to come to this country, because how lucky I am. If they hadn't, I wouldn't be alive.
Today, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms helps keep fate in check for Marjorie. And the Order of Canada speaks on her behalf.
On the back of the Canada medal that you get, it says in Latin, desires to make a better country. And I thought that was wonderful. That was such a wonderful, wonderful honor to receive the Order of Canada.
Yhetta Gold grew up in the age of the Great Depression. Her father, a local storekeeper, raised the family on the edge of a company town. That meant no access to company schools, company doctors, company anything. She knew what it was like to be on the outside, and that the inclusive nature of social work was her calling.
I was rejected from social work. I did apply to the School of Social Work, you're laughing, and was told that I wasn't the right person to be in their faculty and or to practice their whatever they were practicing. And so I didn't go that way.
But Yhetta was determined, finding a way to follow her dream, only now with a Bachelor of Arts degree. Just as it seemed everything was falling into place, came another deep disappointment. The happily ever after of marriage never materialized. in an age when divorce was extremely rare. Yhetta was now the single mother of 3.
Well, I guess if I had allowed myself, I could have just kind of given in and said, this is the way it is, and poor me, and somebody look after me. Maybe somebody would have come along to look after me. That kind of sit back and oiving is really a whole lifestyle, and I didn't choose it. We had to, as my father would say, pull up our socks and go on, and that's what we did.
When you live on the edge of convention, it's hard to hear what the establishment is saying. So when the counterculture of the 60s came knocking on Winnipeg's door, it was Yhetta Gold who answered.
We arranged with St. Boniface Pharmacology Department that if we could get street drugs, that they would test them for us, and then we would let the information back on the street so the kids would know what was safe and what wasn't. And the arrangement was that they could drop stuff off at my place, my home, and that I had them in little samples in little white boxes, and I would deliver them to St. Boniface Hospital. They would get back to me by phone or by something in writing, and I would post them. And the police, we spoke with them. They were, rather than have kids die, it made more sense to let them be informed.
When the hippies of the 60s faded into the mainstream of the 70s, Yhetta turned her attention to another marginalized group, seniors, taking on issues like inadequate pensions, housing, and health, all the while living with multiple sclerosis. Once again, Yhetta Gold defied conventional wisdom.
I remember the doctor saying to me, I had a brand new baby and 2 other children, and he said, spend a lot of time, because you got about 5 years, and know that that's what your limit is. And that was a shocker. That took a lot of thought. And here I am, you know, several years later.
At a time when few disabled people were brave enough to appear in public, Yhetta Gold worked to make their inclusion a priority, helping to introduce universal access to public buildings and making it a matter of city policy. For Yhetta Gold, if you're not advocating, you're not really living.
There's only process to move forward, and it's to discover the processes that involve most people in their independent decision-making that is important. How do you look at everything and say there shouldn't be change?